In this video, I'm going to teach you how to leave a legacy behind for your kids, for your family, or whoever you want to leave it to. I'm talking about a 10, 15, 20, 30 million, $100 million legacy for your family. And you don't have to be a millionaire to begin with. Do I got your attention? Stay tuned. We're going to cover it all right now in this episode of Sunny Side of Finance. Hey guys, there's a million bajillion different podcasts you could listen to, you could watch. We're so glad that you tuned into this one. My name is Singh. I'm the owner of KEES Lending Inc. And I have this show for you today that it's bewildering, if you will. It's literally it's kind of crazy. Check this out. I was asked the question the other day, hey Sonny, what legacy are you planning to leave back for your children? Aside from the lessons you teach them and the things that you want to go over with them for them to pass down, maybe even some family heirlooms. I'm talking about what monetary legacy do you feel that you will leave for your children? And I said, I'd love to leave behind, the most I can so that they have a better start than what I did. We all want our kids to have a better life than what we had growing up. I mean, we grew up modest. Blue collar wouldn't even begin to describe that. If you want to learn how I grew up, there's videos from before that you could watch and explains to you. I grew up in the Bay Area, didn't grow up with very much money. And so that was my answer. And when I asked the question back to, this guy that was in a group, a seminar that I went to that was talking about, these kind of things, asking hard questions. He said, I'm going to leave behind $100 million to my family. And I'm like, $100 million? I know how much you make. Like okay, sure. Right. He goes, well, I was like, well, how are you going to do it? Crypto or something? And he's like, how do you think I'm going to do it? And I started really thinking about that. And this was like a really deep question. You're supposed to be in this group and be vulnerable. So I really thought about it. I'm like, even if I was to make $3 million a year, the way that the federal and state level tax structure is, I'm only going to see maybe 1.4 of that. Even if I didn't spend and I was straight Scrooge McDuck for the next 10 years, 1.4 million, 10 years later would be 14 million. That's if I lived in a cardboard box and didn't eat out and just budgeted. Okay. So let's say I did spend and I'm at 13.5. So after 10 years from now, I'd be at 13.5 million if I created an income stream that made me $3 million a year. And I was like, yeah, I just don't see myself making 100 million or 300 million in order to get $100 million of wealth. So I said to him, it's not going to be earning income. It's not going to be earned income. He's like, yep. I was like, stock market can go up and down. And you'd have to have money regularly deposited every month in order to have that stock portfolio appreciate. Even if it appreciated at a 30% rate, you had $1 million in there, that's 300 grand the first year. You're still miles and miles away from 100 million. So it's not stocks. He goes, yep, you're there. I was like, crypto, I mean, unless you caught a really early coin and you were an early investor and you put in a lot of money, sure, maybe I've seen people, come up 5 million, 3 million, 10 million, but 100 million, a tenth of a billion? Haven't seen that. He goes, yep, you're right. It's not crypto either. I was like, so is it real estate? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, so come on, I'm all ears. How are you going to do $100 million for your family? He's like, think about it. I'm 35. I said, okay. He goes, if I buy, $60 million of real estate, if I buy $60 million real estate, if I figure out money's flowing right now, if I figure out how I can get lent that type of money, then I'll have $100 million real estate. I was like, walk me through this. So he goes, let's dumb it down to practical numbers. He goes, let's say we want to create a $10 million portfolio of real estate. I said, I'm with you. That's realistic. I can see myself doing that. He goes, okay. He goes, well, you know how to hunt for properties. You're a home flipper. You're in real estate and mortgage. You can find properties at discounts. I was like, sure. He goes, so let's say you bought $1 million property for 700,000. Could you do that? I'm like, I could probably find a $1 million property for 800,000 to 750 if I looked hard enough that needed work, you know? He goes, okay. He goes, so that's already 25%. He goes, now when you buy that $700,000 property and you put down 20% down, that's another 140 grand off the price, right? I said, yeah. He goes, great. So now we're on the same page. So now you're at 560. I was like, okay. He goes, now if you rent that out on a 30-year mortgage, 30 years from now, if the tenant pays every penny and pays every rent on time, and if that rent offsets the mortgage, wouldn't that house be paid off completely by the tenant in 30 years from now? I said, yeah. He goes, and if you were 35 or 30, wouldn't it be 60 to 65 when that house is paid off? I'm like, yeah. I was like, but there's a lot of what ifs there. It's not always linear. There's always some things that can go wrong. The property can have issues. Might need, some deferred maintenance taken care of, or maybe some major issues come up. Maybe a tenant stops paying you. He goes, not if you put a great screening process in. Not if you after action plan and devise and create a system around it. I said, I'm with you. He goes, now imagine if we went out of state and we bought $200,000 properties and we bought 5 of them, but we got them for $120,000. I'm like, okay. He goes, all right. And now we rehab them a little bit for 10 or 15 grand, put some love into them. Let's say even $20,000, $40,000, $30,000. So we're into them for $150 and they're turnkey. And now we go ahead and put them up for rent. And we're buying in areas where our filter is strong and our criteria, there's a shortage of inventory and the rental market's strong. And we go ahead and lock in those leases. Okay, I'm with you. And he goes, now let's say we do them on a 15-year loan. I'm like, okay, that might be a little tough. He goes, sure. Let's say you're even out of pocket. I'm like, okay. He goes, you're 41 years old. In 15 years, you'd be 56 and those houses would be paid off. I'm like, they would. And he said, let's say there was a rate of appreciation that let's say they just appreciated 10% from now to 15 years from now. I'm like, well, that would suck, but sure. He goes, yeah, what do you think they would appreciate 15 years from now? I'm like, maybe 20%, I'd hope, right? He goes, okay. So now you bought $1 million worth of properties for 700 grand. You already got 30% equity there. And then the tenants paid it off in 15 years. And if they've gone up from $1 million to 1.2 million, what's the spread on that? I was like, man, I would have a $1.2 million property paid off. He goes, yeah. He's like, now could you do that 10 more times? And I said, I believe I could. And he's like, and there you go. And now you have $10 million. And all you have to do is shift your mindset to thinking instead of leveraging debt, shift your mindset to debt managing. So now you are managing debt. You have programs all out there, DSCR, private investors that will give you the funds. And every time the rates come down, which hopefully when rates go down, there's that buyer demand increases the prices of homes, at least hopefully here in California. I think we're probably going to see some appreciation once rates drop because a lot of buyers are on the fence right now because rates are up. But when that does happen, like you're debt managing, you're just making sure that your team of tenants are paying their bills on time. Now things can happen. You might have tenants not make their payments. You might have to come out of pocket a few months or maybe some major repairs, but that's what reserves are for. But if you create a system, if you create a process, if you create a filter, if you make it just uber tight, the chances of failure are a lot less. I'm telling you this because it was an epiphany moment for me, and I've been in the industry. And it started with a big why. We always try to figure out what's your why? What's your why? And my why has always been my kids. I would not be here if it wasn't my kids. I promise you, So my why is making sure that if my why is legacy, okay. And if legacy means leaving monetary value back to my kids on top of the cash flow that they'd be getting, and if my why is to have financial freedom and retire early. What is the fastest way I could get there? Again, it wasn't crypto for me. It wasn't, stock market for me. It wasn't working harder and outworking everybody for me. How can I do this while still having a life? And I think real estate is the way. It's a touchable, tangible item. It's something people need, shelter. And they're not making very much more of it, you know? So I think this is the journey that I'm on. And I think if you're watching this and it's a journey that you'd like to be on, we've experimented with this over this year, and we've created a lot of steps, a lot of processes that we'd love to share with you. So if you're interested in learning some more, please send us a DM. We're here local. This is what we're going to be doing. We're trying to make sure that each one of our clients' portfolio for rental grows. And I want to build wealth. I want to make sure that all my customers are aware of this, that their thinking changes, and whether they take action or not is on them. But I'm going to be encouraging my clients to do this because I want everybody to win. I want everyone across the finish line, whatever that finish line might be. Thank you for listening today. If you liked what you heard, hit that subscribe and follow button.